Hello, 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 everyone. I hope you are having an awesome Friday. Woohoo! We made it. I feel like each week sometimes, this week's went a little quick. Last week was insane. This week it's been busy. It's been good. Hope you all are doing phenomenally well. We made it, man. Each week, man, like I said, sometimes you're just hanging on by your teeth to get there. Anyways, hope everyone is doing fantastic. Hope you're doing well. What do you got going on this week? Anything exciting? Anything fun? You invite me into anything? I didn't get any invites, so if you're doing something fun, I better see the invites to those. All right, everyone. We have a really, really special guest this week. And not that the rest of our guests, all of our guests are awesome. I mean, let's be honest, all of them are pretty amazing. We have David Long on this week, and I'm going to bring him in just a minute here. But I wanted, before I jump into that, wanted to touch on a couple of things here first. So I know Fridays are really packed around this time period. So I am curious, do we want to change the time that we go live? So we usually go around, 8:15, 8:30 Central Time. Is this time okay for everyone? I know you can always go back and watch this on demand if you feel like, hey, Brooke, this is just too much going on. We got David Long coming on here in a little bit, and that he goes live on the all things used cars about this time as well. There's a lot going on. So if you feel like we need to change the time, let me know. I'm happy to accommodate, to say, hey, let's go at 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock, or hey, actually 1 o'clock in the afternoon is better. Hit me up, let me know. Super accommodating to whatever works for everybody else. Also, Monday. Fridays are always a little crazy. Monday is super, super crazy. We've got obviously the Monday recap, which is always very exciting. We also have, if you don't already watch Jeff and Ian, I almost said Jeff and Larry. Larry, that was a shout out to you there. You do have your Larry Feldman show. I'm on the Jeff and Ian just podcast show, which they do a phenomenal job. They're so awesome. But if you don't already watch their show, first off, watch it because they're awesome. So I'm on their show again, and it's going to be a great show on Monday. They do it always at 10 a.m. It's a phenomenal show. They actually are bringing on Google, so yeah, it should be a great show. We have they have awesome people, brilliant minds. So if you haven't already RSVP'd for the show, do it. Do it. And then later that night, I'm actually going to switch over here and we're going to bring up this one so you can see it here. I have the pleasure, the absolute pleasure to be on the Ted Ings, his fixed ops after dark. So the creative hasn't been out for that yet, but as soon as I get it, I will definitely throw that up so everyone can see it. So if you haven't, once again, if you haven't had a chance to be a part of anything Ted Ings, man, you've got it. Ted is just, once again, another just brilliant genius human being who fixed ops is a huge part of our business. And sadly overlooked part of our business, and it shouldn't be, because that is such a moneymaker, especially now, such a huge moneymaker part of our business. And so I'm so honored to be a part of that. And it's a Monday night. So there's also Ted around the part of the about the start of the pandemic. He does all of these fixed ones. And so in September, actually going to pull this one up here real quickly. In September 20th, 21st, and 22nd, he does these fixed outs round tables, and the tickets are complimentary. Like, who else is doing any type of conference that's complimentary? It's absolutely insane what he does. It's so cool. So if you haven't RSVP'd or registered for this event, please go do this. This is such an incredible thing that he does for everybody. And I mean, this event for the Roaring Twenties event, I mean, this gets like 4,000 or 5,000 people. I think the last year's event he had on. The big name was Jay Leno. I mean, you get so much out of it. I attend these all the time. So anyway, so that's the one in September. On Monday evening, I'll be a part of that. And like I said, I'm just so honored to be a part of that. So big Monday. We got all sorts of stuff going on. So that's just a few housekeeping items that we had to hit those little things there. And then always just want to bring up, we've got the car lodge thing going on. I want to hear about anybody that's reaching across the aisle to say, hey, I'm working with this vendor or this business partner. If you're working with them, they're most likely a business partner. I'm working with this dealership. Email them to me, info@bzconsultantsgroups.com, or hashtag them, tag me out, whatever it may be. And then, all right, without any further ado, we're going to hope the audio works on this one. So we shouldn't have an issue, but hey, it's technology. I tested the other day and it worked fine. So definitely let me know if there's any audio issues. So we're going to bring in David Long, and guys, he's just incredible. So I hope you all get out as much as I did. He is just, like I said, an incredible human being, and I'll let him do the talking here. So we're gonna switch this on over and bring in David Long. All right, here we go. David,
I don't think so. I think you covered it.
You sure? Are you sure? All right, everyone, welcome into another awesome, fabulous episode of Facts Not Filling, and I am so honored to bring into the show David Long. For anyone that doesn't know David, I don't know if you've been living under a rock. I don't know where you've been. I think that David at this point, I think he's everywhere. He has the Clubhouse room. He's on LinkedIn. I think he might own LinkedIn at this point. I'm not sure, but you might. But he is the executive general manager of Auto Group Hansel out in Santa Rosa. He is the founder of All Things Used Cars. And if you also weren't living under a rock, he's also started and the founder of Pandemic Positivity. Did I catch it all? I think that you've spoken about every conference out there. Did I miss anything at this point, David?
I don't think so. I think you covered it.
You sure? Are you sure? I may have missed something because you're everywhere. It's like there's all these different things, and you're just constantly full of life, and hence the positivity, full of positive energy. I mean, the very first time I met you a while ago, but it was just this past conference at DMSC that we really were like able to connect and get to know each other a little bit better. But you are just so, like I said, full of just positive energy. It's just anyone that's around you is like, oh, yeah, you just want to be around you more just because you are so full. I'm going to repeat myself here, but just you attract other people because of your energy. So yes. So
great to spend you out there. My team really enjoyed your energy too.
Well, you've got an incredible person with Stephanie on your team. So very, very lucky to have her. She's an awesome human being for sure.
Could not agree.
For sure.
I hope she's
actually had a conversation earlier today about some other fun GLB stuff. So thank you very much for pointing me in the direction. I actually took your text and I was like, David said you're the smartest person in the office, the brains of the office. So yes, very much. So I really appreciate that. So tell us a little bit about, you have so many irons in the fire right now. Tell us a little about what's going on, how you got in this crazy industry, and a little bit more about yourself.
So I think the most significant iron in the fire is the fact that I'm a dad and a grandfather and a husband, and that's the main iron. The other irons are like secondary, third, fourth, fifth irons. But so I'm the executive general manager of multiple rooftops here in Santa Rosa, California. That's in Northern California. It's right outside of Napa. Absolutely gorgeous. And then I have a training consulting business, and I've helped open and start 58 buy centers from here to Brazil. I have a lot of fun with that. It's a passion of mine. It's a space in the industry where I think is underserved and very difficult code to crack. And I happen to love the used car side of our business. So I started a podcast Clubhouse room called All Things Used Cars. And it has hundreds of people in it every Friday morning. And that's at 6 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So if you're ever on Clubhouse, check out All Things Used Cars. I think you'll get a lot of value. If you don't know how to find it, you can find it on LinkedIn under my profile or my Facebook or Instagram page. And then about 2 years ago, I had this harebrained idea that there's so much negativity around the pandemic, and it's a really heavy, sad, scary topic that came up with a pandemic of positivity. And you might see those yellow pucks and the bracelets and the hats and all the stuff about just trying to be a little bit more loving, kind, and compassionate with everybody you come in contact with. And that's kind of what I'm into right now. And I coach youth sports from time to time.
You got a few things going on, a few things, and it is true. Like, I mean, before you and I had officially met, I was seeing all the yellow bands everywhere, and you saw the yellow rings around everybody's, social profile, and I was like, who started this? And I didn't know who you were at the time. I was like, I don't know who, but I just saw this difference. Like, what the hell is this? Like, I'm seeing it everywhere. I'm like, I don't know what this is. And then you and I met, and I was like, okay, this makes sense. It's 100% who you are. It's your personality. You just exude all of that. So I just absolutely champion the fact that you have done this. You went full force with it. And it's what an incredible cause, like, especially in a time that pretty dark for the world. And you just said, hey, you know what? Let's take it a different direction. Why don't we find something positive in this? Why don't we find something good? And it's just what an incredible thing to have done. So just thank you for that. Really, really cool thing to do. Very, very cool thing to do.
My pleasure. The team around that and the team that poured their time into it is incredible. So if you can, go to www.pandemicofpositivity.com. You'll see the team, about us. It's a pretty cool site.
Yes, and I was just actually on there just recently before we hopped on this, just looking over that a little bit more, and was just even looking at kind of Kyle and Scott, and just even in that short time, how different they look in that short amount of time. I was like, man, it hasn't been that long, but we've grown up a little bit here since in these last few years, a little bit here. So
some of us have weathered pandemic very well.
Well, no, just you still look very nice. Just we've all matured a little bit in the 3 years that felt like a decade in 3 years. So that's all.
It's been an impact for sure.
Yes. So talk a little bit more about when someone thinks used cars at this point, I think all of us think you. So how have you, without obviously giving out your trade secrets here, how have you said, hey, I have found a secret sauce without giving the secret sauce away to all things used cars? I know that last week you kind of had a very great topic that needed to be discussed with pricing and what have you, but you're able to kind of find, hey, this is how we can buy cars, this is how we can market cars and move cars and look in the future and buy them, and then also move them off our lot so they're not burning a hole in our wallet and on our lot as well.
Mm-hmm. So I'll always give the secret sauce away. There are no secrets. I tell everybody everything at any time. And I'll tell you where that came from. So about, I don't know, it's almost a decade ago now, maybe 8 years ago, I knew nothing about used cars. And I really wanted to know, but I had this sort of insecurity and this feeling of I'm never going to be able to maximize my full potential in the auto vertical if I don't really lean in and understand used cars. And here's what happened. I met a gentleman by the name of Shoutout that owns DGDG out here in the Bay Area, one of the best dealer groups on the planet. Not quite as good as the Hansel Group, but
close second.
A close second for sure, from the culture side, from the education side, from the kindness side. So we were just shooting the crap in his office, and he said, hey, and I wasn't doing anything. I was kind of being a free agent, doing my consulting thing. And he said, why don't you be my used car director? And I'm like, I don't know. I really don't know anything about used cars. And he's like, that's okay. We'll figure it out. And I said, okay, I'll be your used car director for 16 rooftops at the time. Now, can you imagine a general manager having me not know anything about used cars go try to tell him that I'm the new used car director or her? So I hitched my wagon to Dale Pollock, and Dale became my mentor. Dale taught me an awful lot. And then I found people like Jason Rice and Diego Vargas, and those guys just sort of circled me like a tribe. They just got around me and they just propped me up, wouldn't let me fail, helped me every time I made a move. Like, don't do that, try this. Don't do this, try that. And that was my petri dish for 6 years, to really not only figure out used cars, but figure out how to open buy centers. And that's where my whole career really just exploded. And it was the result of Shoutout Grand saying, hey, be my used car director, even though you don't know anything.
Jeez, that's incredible.
Well, by the way,
I don't think I've ever heard that story. Yeah.
We went from selling 300 cars a month with 600 in stock to selling 1,000 a month with 800 in stock. And people, Dad, come on, how do you get 1,000 cars sold out of an 800 car inventory? Yeah, we did it month in and month out. And Dale Pollock, these are his words, not mine, said we were arguably the best used car. He said me, but I hate to say me. Arguably the best used car operator in the nation, and that was my best compliment I've ever received. So there you go.
Yeah, buddy, man. So that's pretty impressive there. Pretty damn impressive. So we're in a weird market right now. So where do you see the state of automotive with new and used? I mean, at some point it's going to level out, but where is level out? I don't know if it's ever going to go back to the way it was. Where is middle ground? Where is that pendulum swinging?
Super interesting. And it's all the reason why structure, discipline, and consistency will always win the day, right? No matter what's happening. What's happening now, people say, how are you getting by? This is the best thing that ever happened, in my opinion, to our industry. I think it level set everything. I think it put us in a position to make the kind of profits that we deserve as dealers for working as hard and having as much exposure and liability. I think like we're here. How long this is going to last, I don't know. But when I have like Jonathan Smoke, the chief economist for Cox Automotive, come on my show, he seems to think, based on what he's indicated, 24, 36 months-ish, which I would love that long of a run. I would absolutely love it. Now, having said that, I'm completely prepared for the bottom to fall out tomorrow. And if it does, guess what? All my ducks are in a row, everything's tight, and we will be okay no matter what happens. I feel good about that.
I think that, like the key part that you just said right there, whether it's tomorrow or in 36 months, you are prepared. It's there are too many times that you talk to someone, doesn't matter if it's in our industry or in the health field. It's, I don't know. Well, what do you mean you don't know? How have you not prepared for tomorrow, let alone a year from now? Whether the profits are phenomenal or they suck, you've got to be prepared for looking into the future. Always looking into the future. Like, yes, learn from yesterday, learn from today. You've got to be prepared for tomorrow. It's so insanely important. So kudos to that, because yes, what is happening right now is very unprecedented. But eventually, if we've learned anything from this industry, is eventually it's going to swing back. It always swings back, whenever that it may be. Not sure when that's going to be, but at some point it will. And whatever that, I don't know if I don't think we'll ever go back to where it was. I don't think that I just don't think but it'll be somewhere in the middle, whatever the middle that may be. I just don't know what the middle is going to be. But
right. You're there, target, right? It'll continue to ebb and flow, and that's really what excites me the most.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, you look at 2008 even, where everything crashed, and then eventually it swung back and things leveled out. I mean, things always, our industry, you saw, I mean, even during 2020, you saw all these ups and downs, but you saw everyone buy all these cars, and it was like, okay, calm down, things will level out. And they did, and that was spiked again, but that's just what our industry does, and we always ride the wave. On the flip side, we're not so much in the used car, but what are you seeing from a fixed ops side? I know this is kind of a change of directions, but because so many less new cars are being sold, what are you seeing from your fixed op department?
That's interesting, because here in Northern California, especially, not only are less used new cars being sold, but many of them are electric. We have a unique situation here in Northern California where we really have to get good at the basics. We have to get good around the wheel. We have to get good around customer service. We have to get good on thinking outside the box with pickup and delivery. I mean, there's so many different things and different threats. I don't know, you've seen some of the guys talk about, and gals, the barbarians are at the gate. Well, they're not just at the service and parts and collision center gate. They're at the future of automotive as it relates to how many cars we're going to have to resell in 2 years. And and cars coming off a lease, and cars that are electric. So this is not going to be for the faint of heart, Brooke. I really think that what's about to happen is going to shake out the pretenders.
I agree. Well, I was actually having a discussion with Ted Ings earlier. I think it was today, I talked to him today, but I think we were having a discussion yesterday about this, that when aluminum was really coming right on the scene. I was actually working with my younger brother in the collision industry. We had a software company, and aluminum first came on the scene. It cost a ton more for everyone to become certified in it. You had to have all this new equipment, and it just cost a lot of money. but no one was charging more for it. So body shops were just eating that cost. And at the time, we were, as we were just saying, hey, why you have to increase your rates for this. So for electric, my question was, well, shouldn't we be doing the same? Because 75% of electric vehicles are going to independent shops and they're not coming to dealerships. So I haven't seen the data on this, and I think it's so new that there isn't data on this, that of all that 75, if we're only taking 25% of that, 75% is going to independent shops. Are they charging more for that? Because it's going to cost, we're all going to have to get certified and blah, blah, blah. Are we going to have to increase our rates for that? I don't know the answer to that.
I don't see the independents being as big of a threat on the electric side off the bat, because most cars that are being sold today are under warranty, and the amount of equipment that I've had to buy for all of my rooftops to support the aftermarket and after sales side of my business, I don't know there's a lot of independents that are going to make that financial investment, at least not initially. So I feel pretty good about our ability to retain our EV customer. Okay,
that's good. That's good. And you and I are talking about tire sales when we were at DMSC as well, like tracking tire sales. And that your first thing was like, I believe you said, yes, I track tire sales. Just because that's so big, because that is your first sign that our customer is defecting from us. If you're not tracking tire sales as a dealership, not just a service manager, but as a owner, as a GM, as an EM, you are missing the boat, because as soon as your consumer jumps off and says, I am not buying tires from you, you've lost that customer.
Yep. No, and you don't get it back. So
you're not getting it back.
Tire sales every day by every rooftop, every service department, and every person in that service department. So, oddly enough, the minute we started tracking it, by every person, what do you think happened? Correct. Nobody wants to be on the bottom of that totem pole.
No. All of a sudden, engagement goes way up.
If they have their average RO is 3 to 5 year old cars with 30 to 50,000 miles, and they're not selling tires, they're not doing the job. And nobody wants to show up to not do the job, right? Everybody wants to be good at what they do.
Yeah. All of a sudden, wait a second. I don't. That whole being a red thing, it's amazing how people don't want to be in the red. Like, it doesn't matter what it can be, some, BS stat. Like, that means absolutely nothing, but no one wants to be in red. So, I don't want to be in red. I don't want to be in red. So it motivates people real quick. Like,
everybody walks around here talking about go for the green, go for the green, go for the green. That's just part of our culture.
Yep.
You want to be green?
100%. 100%. So, we've got the used cars, we've got the fixed ops. Where else do you see with the state of automotive, where we've talked about the used cars? In general, we've got not just the car portion of it, but we have the culture culture is such a buzzword, but you guys have done such an incredible job. And we actually talked about it earlier with Lori a little bit, just how you guys have found out a way. It's not like it's some hidden secret. You treat people well, first off, but you guys have done such a great job with finding, hey, we are going to do this here, and we've retained our people well. So I guess, especially now, it's so important. How have you guys found, continue to do that? And I guess speak to that a little bit. I just completely slaughtered what I'm trying to say there, but talk to that a little bit.
I'm sure if I understood what you were saying, and I'm not
because I didn't.
I think the culture piece is the biggest part of what we do today. And my firm belief is, if we stop at the front door and we only focus on how we can have our people become more efficient and effective at work, I think we have one-dimensional teams. So, like, you're invited every Wednesday at 3 p.m., and it is way more than how to sell more tires and service more cars and sell more finance. It's none of that, actually. It's all about, how do you become a better human? How do you take better care of yourself? How do you love more? How do you care more? How do you feel better about who you are? How you show up as a husband, as a wife, as a father, as a son, as a daughter. And we do that every Wednesday. And then we have, I have a personal development coach that comes in for a full week every single month. And that's all he does, is work on personal development with the teams. So I think that's where culture starts.
I'm trying to think of how many, I won't even say dealerships, just how many businesses do what that last thing you said, that bring in personal development coaches or, the training portion that is so big is, I've told the story before where I was working with a dealer group and we went through, there's facts, not feelings. And we went through the factual part and said, okay, here are the metrics of XYZ. Your ad agency is doing a great job of getting the ad to, and everything, the copy, everything is spot on. Once it gets into dealership land, it's falling and it's failing right on, it's falling on its face and it's failing. And Mr. or Mrs. Owner just said, nope, it's not the case. And I just go, I'm okay. So I'm like, okay, maybe I just need to reword this different. There's got to be something here. So I do the rewording of it, thinking I just did something wrong here. So I reword it. I was like, okay, so and once again, I got, that can't be it. All right. I just finally said, okay, I don't know what you want me to say. At this point, it's a process issue. You can't throw money at this. It's a training issue. It's an internal issue. And that's just one of those things that, like, if you stop looking at buying another tool, buying something else, this is internal. You've got to look at, if you need to spend money, it's spending money internally for more training, not at buying some new shiny tool. So it's really big on this process and development, but how many people don't do this? And it's across the board on so many different companies. So thank you for that.
Sure, yeah, for sure. Like today's topic, we have a MBA, PhD coming in to talk to us about tiny habits, like, and how these micro habits can change your life, personally, professionally, relationships, spiritually, whatever it is that you feel like you want to improve or you need to improve. That's what you're going to hear today at 3:00. And everybody in your listening audience is more than welcome. It happens every single Wednesday with a different speaker. That's
phenomenal. That's, once again, seeing the bigger picture, knowing that whether it's now learning from yesterday to now to future, that this is different than anybody else is doing. I remember Scott Risley he posted something. I mean, Mohawk is phenomenal. Obviously they do a great job, whatever. But they brought in, I think it was Timus Grover, that, he's works with Michael Jordan and, shout out right there on cue.
From Scott.
Yeah. Very nice. Very, very nice. But yeah, I mean, things like that, there's like, this is why people are going to flock. Patrick over at a Beaver Toyota, that, I mean, we heard it there, that people were uprooting their lives to go work at a dealership, to be a part of that community, to say, hey, you do such a good job with personal development, with making us feel at home and championing us. And that's the stuff. That's the stuff that, once again, going back to your original statement, is saying, of all the irons in the fire, the ones that are most important are my family, are my grandkids, are my kids. Those are the things that matter. And all the other stuff at the end of the day they're great and they're fantastic, but those are the things that really matter. So
I totally agree. To give Patrick a little more credit from Beaver Toyota, he had over 50 people move from Wesley Chapel, Florida, all the way up to Georgia or some crazy thing, just to follow him based on how he cared for them while he worked with them in Florida. Like, who moves their whole family? 50 people moved their whole family to go be close to Scott Abad. That is a good testimony.
I can't, like, I've moved a lot in my life, and they've all been for jobs. But it was like, hey, I'm relocating because my company's forcing me to go somewhere, not because I'm choosing to go move across country to be like, that's,
by Patrick.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't work for Patrick. That was the problem. I'm like, but once you meet Patrick, you're like, this guy is incredible. He is such an incredible human being. So totally get it once you meet the individual. So, but those are the things, once again, it doesn't matter what industry it is, when you are breeding leaders and you're saying, hey, it just goes back to finding the specialness in that person and saying, I'm going to make you better. As you become better, I become better. And I know that's exactly what you're doing there at Hansel as well. And it's really cool to see. And I'm glad I get to be a part of it, even from a large distance back in Chicago. So it's very fun to see. Very, very fun to see.
I'll be part of it.
Yes, very much so. All right. I so appreciate the time that we've had to like talk and catch up and just to get know more about you. A couple of things that I ask every single person that comes on the show. It's a little bit of lightning round questions. So my first and foremost question is, are you ready for it? That's the first question. Okay. All right. So I think you kind of answered this a little bit, but I do want to circle back. Is where can our followers find you if they want to follow you and listen to you and see your face?
Not sure they'd want to see my face, but
well, maybe they do. I don't know.
Speaking of face, Facebook, Instagram, MySpace. No, I'm kidding about that. LinkedIn, pandemicofpositivity.com, Clubhouse. And they can call. I mean, I'm easy to find. Super easy to find. Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. And as always, we'll have it in the show notes. With this, everyone can just click on the show notes below. So I'll be in there. And then outside of work, what are your favorite thing to do outside of work?
So I don't have any hobbies really. I'm traveling with my kids and I'm watching them perform what they love to do. Like every weekend now, I'm out of town somewhere. I was in Vegas last weekend. I was in LA the weekend before. And my son plays basketball, so I travel and I participate in supporting him and him living his dream.
That's awesome. So basketball, and then what else did they do?
And then
oh, here we go.
There we go.
Yes.
Can you see it?
That's pretty. That's awesome.
Isn't that cool?
Very
That's
cool.
Rochambeau and my daughter Ashley. So that's a fun sport. And that's what we do. We just travel around and love and support our kids.
That is awesome. Very, very cool. Okay, so with the traveling, do you have a favorite vacation spot, or if you had like a ticket somewhere, where are you going?
Anywhere where there's water, where I can be in the water. Maybe I have a scuba gear on, but not a whole lot of clothes. Just a pair of swim trunks, scuba gear, and just enjoying the water. I just love any kind of water sport there is.
I hear you on that one. I am a beach baby, so I 100% agree on that one. Good choice. Good choice. If you didn't, I'd probably have to, maybe lie to you. But I think you and I know well each other enough. I'd be like, no, that's a crappy decision. But I will tell you that's a good decision. So
I love that.
All right. So what's the biggest thing? And it can be personal or it can be day to day, but you're finding that you have to distinguish between facts and feelings.
Oh, that's a great question. Have you seen?
What I do?
Have you read the book WTF?
No, I haven't. I need to read that book.
So for those listeners right now that are thinking I'm swearing, WTF is not what you think. It is
That's what I say.
The facts.
Yes.
WTF, work the facts. So the problem with working the facts is the facts aren't always the facts. And here's what I mean by that. A lot of times facts in our vertical are indicators, and there's sub-facts that kind of debunk the initial fact. And most people will never get to the sub-facts. They'll stay on the surface level facts and they'll jump to conclusions based on the information they've received. So when I think about the facts in our vertical, and most people are like, what are you talking about? I really see when I'll use inventory, for instance. When I'm dialing into my inventory and I'm looking at what appears to be the facts, there's always a story behind the facts that supports the fact or debunks the fact. Does that make sense to you?
Oh, 100%. It's being able to interpret. You got to be able to interpret the data.
Correct. And what you see is not always what there is. And I have a buddy, Diego, always says, all there is all I see. Well, sometimes you have to look in different places. I'll give you an example. Yeah. There's an echo of information that you'd receive if you were doing your stocking plan in your inventory in Viato. Like, I don't want to just stock everything I've always stocked, because then I'll sell what I've always sold, and it'll be this sort of vicious circle. So there's facts outside of the facts that always have to be considered. And then the trick is, where do you get the facts and how do you substantiate the facts? And that's what I love. For me, that's the chess game that gets me up in the morning and gets me just fired up with enthusiasm. It's like a hound dog trying to find a trail. I get on a trail and I try to get there and I sniff it out. And I'm like, wait a minute, I thought I was heading this way. Take a sharp right, and I'll be like, no, look where I wound up. And it's just so freaking cool.
Well, I think it's also, you go back to standardizing it, because you can have, I'll take, gotta think how careful I phrase this. So you can have one set of data metrics, and then another set, and they've all got to be going in the same direction. But if you got one that goes the completely opposite direction, and you just look at that one, you're like, oh shit, this was going this one, but all the other ones are going this one. That's why you got to standardize it and look, okay, this is telling a story, but this is going the other direction. Why? And then being able to interpret that and make it into an actionable item, because exactly what you say, because you're looking at just this one and you look at nothing else, that's a problem. In a couple weeks, I'm bringing on some guests too. I have always looked at one set, and then I bring on another, not just one, the other set. And he goes, hey, did you ever know about XYZ? I go, what are you talking about? And it was just like, my mind just goes, whoa. I go, what? I've never seen that. And I go, I can't spoil the surprise, because I'm not going to take credit for it, because he's the one that told me about it. So, but once again, it's just diving into a layer and the onion layers, right? Just this and this and this, and you can get lost in the weeds. But once again, are you actually looking at the true data of it and unearthing all of it? So yes, I agree.
I think for the most part, we look for the data that supports our belief.
Yes.
And then when we find that and it supports what we thought, that's where we go. We never peel that onion back far enough to find the whole truth, because we're not looking for the truth. We're looking for evidence to support our paradigm.
Yes. I think it was Glenn Pash that said this. And if it wasn't Glenn, I'm giving you credit for it. So there you go. But he goes, what he would do sometimes, he would cover up the name of whatever report, let's say it was a BBC report or whatever report, he would cover up the name of the person. And that way he would look at it, because you have this unconscious bias to be like, oh, well, that's Brooke. She's going to suck at this. And so you automatically just assume that Brooke's going to suck at answering the calls or suck at answering whatever. And so automatically you look at that and you just assume that's what it's going to be. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's a great idea, because we're human. So you're human to judge. Even when you're like, I don't judge people, I don't do that. That's my voice of someone not judging. But that's what you do. So Glenn, that's not your voice. That's not your voice, Glenn. That's Brooke's voice. But it's the same thing, is that you're looking at a data point, and all of a sudden you're like, oh no, Brooke sucks, so I'm going to find something that proves that Brooke sucks. Well,
yep. That's the Pygmalion effect, by the way. It's defined as the Pygmalion effect.
Yes. Yep.
So, yeah, totally agree. So that's why when I think about work the facts, when I think about what you represent to me and how you talk about really making sure that the data is right, I think about that all the time, because it'd be easy from my position to see something and jump to conclusions. Like my owner, greatest guy on the planet. I love him. Like, this is my 36th, almost 37th year doing this. I've never had an owner that was as dialed in and is just on top of everything as he is. But he'll see something that'll be an indicator, and he'll be like, what's not, he doesn't get upset. But he's like, wait a minute, that doesn't seem right. Well, behind that, there's so much more to the story. So for me, especially if he's watching this, take it easy, consider all the different data points, let's gather everything before we go pop my head off and figure out really the whole story. There's always a whole story.
And there is, and it's just like you're taking one subset of the entire pie. So you got to look at the whole picture. Instead, you've got like this one little portion of it. So no, I 100% agree on that. Yes, it's a very good one to choose.
All my stores were up over 6 to 28 or 30% last month. So, but let's say that one was down. It'd be an indicator for somebody to say, well, gosh darn it, you're off track. You're not doing it right. Well, hold on a second. Last year we had 200 cars in stock. This year we have 28. Of course we're going to be off, right?
Yes.
So there's always more to the story if you're willing to take a look at it.
Well, yeah, that just catapults into even metrics in general. I mean, if you're looking month to month or year over year, I mean, we really shouldn't be doing that anymore, because you look over year over year, we didn't have cars. Like, we don't have cars now, and you're looking over cars that you had tons of last year. So that's a whole other thing. And yeah, that's a whole other conversation, but it goes to the point of, what are you measuring? I mean, are you really going to look at that? I was talking to someone about OTT and display and whatever, and I go, to get what you got in 2020 versus 21 versus now, the amount you have to spend to get that same bang for your buck is completely different. So if you're trying to measure that, just understand you're not getting the same, it's not really true data. Like you can look at it, but just understand what you're trying to measure. So yeah.
I agree.
Yeah. All right. What would you say I was going to read the exact same question I just asked you. And although it was a very good question, we're not going to ask it again. So as a disruptor in the industry, what is the hardest or best lesson that you've learned?
The hardest or best lesson I've ever learned, that you can succeed with being abundantly kind and patient. You don't always have to be have your hair on fire and be a Tasmanian devil.
I like it.
I didn't know that early in my career. I thought that only the ones that were just ferociously focused, not that you don't have to be focused, but I believe you can get it with kindness, compassion, and love. And back then I thought I had to iron fist it. Everything was a nail, so I was a hammer, and it just is not so.
I agree. Yeah, it's taken me a bit to, you find different lessons you move about in this industry, and it's like, oh, okay, I thought I had to do this, and I you don't. I mean, you can, but you don't need to. So yeah. What is your favorite car?
So most people it's funny because I tell people this, they're like, what are you talking about? I'm not into cars. Like I've been doing this for a long time. I don't have any special cars. I don't have a collection of cars. But if I was going to buy a car and I was going to get excited, it'd be the Lamborghini. And I don't even know what it's called, the Lamborghini Sport Utility deal.
Yeah.
The first time, Urus, I think. I don't know. First time I saw it, I was like, oh. Like if I was going to go out and buy a car, that would be the car. And because it's just cool, it's different, tough looking. So that is pretty. And I would get it in lime green.
That seems to go along with the theme with Hansel, so I can see that. It could be like the mascot car. I like it. I like it.
Hey, you know what? Maybe I can get the company to pay for it. That's a great idea.
I think you need to take it back. Go with it. See what happens. What's the worst they say? No.
The hood and I can write it off. That's easy.
It's a write-off. It's a write-off. You don't even know what a write-off is. Okay. So I know you read a lot of books. At least I think you read. I guess you do. You held a book, so I think you read. Maybe it's just for show. I don't know, but I think you do. What is your favorite quote?
My favorite quote. Can I just tell you what my favorite book is? Can you make it easy?
Favorite book. Yeah, favorite book.
So, A Better World, A Better You by Lou Tice.
World Better You. Okay.
And then I love Dr. Dyer's books. I love his. And of course, I'm a fan and a student of Tony Robbins. And as a favorite quote, it'd probably be one that I made. So it's a David original.
Oh, this is going to be a good one. Everyone, get your pens ready. Get them ready right now.
Think of. I got several that I thought were cool that I created. But patience is something I admire, but very seldom desire.
I admire, but rarely desired.
Yep.
I like it.
There are people that have patience. I just don't have it. So it's something I admire. I just don't have it.
You have some. You've got some patience.
I do.
You've got more. Yeah, you've got more than most, I would say. It's not like you're completely lacking patience.
It relates to results. Like I could have a team 15, 13-year-olds not listening to me on the baseball field or a basketball court and have tremendous love and patience. But results, I don't have a lot of patience for results. We need them. We need to execute at a really high level.
Okay. That's different. That's different. We'll end with what's some advice you'd give your younger self?
Be kind. Just be like you don't have to be less than kind to receive above average results.
That's pretty much how I sign off all these shows. So I 100% agree. That's exactly how I was raised, is that you can always find a way to serve, and you can always find a way to be kind to someone. It takes nothing to be kind to another human being. Nothing. It's so 100% agree with that one. It has been such a pleasure to catch up with you and to pick your brain for a minute. And anyone, if you have a chance, first off, make a chance. That's my advice to you. Make a chance. Listen to this man. He is a wealth of knowledge, and you're always going to learn something from him. Go get on the Clubhouse. I know that means you're going to miss my show, but mine's on demand, so you can watch mine later. So go listen to him on Friday. Get on Clubhouse. Go listen on Wednesday to him and listen to him. He's, like I said, look at him. He's a brilliant man. Go listen to him, please. And with that, thank you as always. I know you have a chance. You have a choice to listen and to go watch whatever you want to go watch. And I so appreciate everyone for tuning in. And as always, find a way to serve. Go help your neighbor. Open a door for someone. It takes nothing to be kind to another human being. Find a way to serve. Find the joy in yourself so you can be a joy for someone else. And as always, everyone, thank you so much. And we look forward to seeing everyone next week. Thank you and have a wonderful weekend.